What is up, YouTube? It's your girl, Bookish Nerdy Girl, coming at you with another video. Today, I will be reacting to 2 true sociopath horror stories animated by wansee or wansee, I don't know, entertainment. Check out their channel. I'm subscribed, love their content, awesome animation. Everything's just very well done. So let me pull up the video and we can get this rolling. Play.
About 10 years ago, my family had a studio rental business in a big city. Our studio had the most thorough security system at that time. So as a result, our studio became the best place for those parents who ever wanted to send their daughter from the rural area to the city. Even though the rent price was highly expensive, our studio was always traded, and because of that, the gender ratio of women was far higher. At that time, there was a woman who had moved into our studio for about 3 months. She was the kind of annoying type that she requested changing the automatic door lock's password several times a month. There was a manual in the room that helps you to change the password for oneself, but she kept asking us to do it every time,
That's kind of annoying.
saying that it was complicated.
I can see that's kind of annoying.
We felt like she was the type who was going to fuss about our studio someday.
She was paranoid.
So we always did her favor whenever she asked.
Yeah, you're better off.
But one day, she started saying something strange. She said that someone seemed to be coming inside of her room when she wasn't there.
Fuck?
Of course, we have a master card to enter every room.
Yeah.
But I swear, we are not those ignorant types of owners who come in and go out of any room.
Don't do that. That's
except
illegal.
for sometimes when people who leave their rooms without telling us they had changed the password, or when we had to do an electrical inspection for the empty rooms, asking for prior consent already. But she seemed to doubt me, because I was the one who guarded the studio during my university vacation. Anyway, my parents sent her back to her room kindly, saying that she might be mistaken at first. Then the other day, she came up angrily this time.
What the fuck?
She said that she put a piece of paper in the crack of the door and folded the edge of the bed's blanket slightly when she went out. However, when she came back again, then she found that the paper was fallen on the ground and the blanket was all spread out.
I hope she's either crazy or
cursing me tremendously. She had already believed 100% that I was certainly the criminal. At the time, I was ordering food and in a good mood after cleaning the roof in a heavy sweat. And this woman's behavior slowly pissed me off. And even my parents seemed to be suspicious of me at this point. But I couldn't confirm what was happening on each floor because there was only one CCTV in the front door and another one in the parking lot at that time. No matter how I felt the unfairness, I couldn't just install all the CCTV using a huge sum of money to capture the evidence of the woman who has such a megalomania and mythomania. So I put a digital camera that had very low resolution at that time in a beverage box and put it in a hallway where she was living. I had to go down every 2 hours and empty the memory. And I finally ended up thinking that I wouldn't be able to do this anymore after about 3 days. On the 4th day, the incident happened.
What the
That day, the police knocked on our door first. Following them, when I looked inside the woman's room, I could see the pearl-like eyeshadow was spread on every side of the walls. It turned out that the woman had coated the doorknob with cosmetics when she went down to her hometown for a few days, hoping the criminal to leave a trace when he broke into her room. But as if he were mocking her, the criminal had put those pearl shadows all over the walls, ceilings, and even floors of the room. So the police came to my room after receiving the woman's report. They started to investigate whether they could find any traces of pearl shadow on my keyboard, mouse, drawer handle, faucet, and even the toilet watering lever. But it was nonsense. I was just eating delivery food without knowing anything. The wash basin in the woman's room, which had been empty for 4 days, was completely wet, as if someone had just finished taking a shower, and I could see the soap was expanded. I was eventually called to the police station as a witness for questioning. When I finally got back home, I brought my camera that I had installed before to see what was on it, just in case. And then, something strange was caught in the camera. On the second night, around 11 p.m., the woman's boyfriend was filmed entering that empty room. He wasn't in the video for the 3rd day, and of course I couldn't film it for the 4th day. It was a suspicious
It
thing.
was her boyfriend.
In the end, I went to the police station again with my camera and submitted it. The whole story of the incident that was revealed later was like this.
Okay.
It was her boyfriend who made her terrorized and tremble in an attempt to bring her into his studio. While she went to college, he kept sneaking into her room and left those suspicious traces
Dude, what
for a
the frick
month.
is your problem?
Then, as his girlfriend noticed the strangeness, she told him what had happened, and he kept telling her about the cruel and scary murdering cases that occurred in a studio apartment.
Wow.
Later, he suggested to her that she could sleep in his house if she was scared. His final goal was cohabitating with the woman, and the climax happened on that day. After hearing that she had set up a trap at the door, he entered her room and rubbed the pearl shadows on the whole room more than she did. Of course, the sink, the blanket, and the paper between the doors, everything was all by him. He thought that if his girlfriend felt extreme fear, she would end up living with him.
Dude,
What was
get
even
away
more
from
creepy
him.
was that when the police came to our studio
He's
that day,
manipulative and toxic.
he was comforting his girlfriend calmly, hugging her in his arms. The more she got afraid,
This dude's a
the more
freaking
courteously
freak.
that bastard consoled her, and kept thinking about how he could make her scared on the other hand. In the end, the man was accused by the woman and her family, and the woman took time off from school due to the
Understandable.
huge shock.
You really gotta be careful, man. Like, you can't trust nobody now.
There's something I want to confess about, so I'm going to write it down on this anonymous site. I'd like to talk about one thing I really, really did wrong. When I was in elementary school, I had to ride my bike to school because there was some distance from my house to my school. My house was located in a back alley. And one day on my way home, I was riding my bike around the curve, and I couldn't slow down, so I ran over an old lady. She collapsed, passing out, and I rushed back to my house, being terrified.
Call the cops. Oh my god.
She was a very kind person in my town. She was close to my family and
Then
people
call
in the
police,
neighborhood.
make sure she's okay.
So she always greeted me kindly whenever she saw me. Back then, the
Still not
CCTVs weren't
understanding why you
installed
haven't
around
called
on
the
the
cops or
streets.
something to get.
So no matter what
it was an
happened in the
accident,
alley,
like-
there was no way to find out who did it. And the next day, a handwritten poster was attached to the alley wall. We're finding a witness. My grandmother had an accident. We don't want to believe it, but if the criminal is one of our neighbors, please confess. We don't want strong punishment either. We just want to resolve the injustice.
You should have called.
It was written something like this. She returned home
You should have
shortly
called
after
cops.
being treated for a concussion, and after that, her health began to deteriorate rapidly because she was quite an old lady. I was afraid that I'd be revealed that I did it, but she didn't seem to remember the incident. Or was she just
Could be
pretending
either
that she
or.
couldn't
'Cause
remember?
she knows it was an accident.
Anyway, she was always spending time in the same place, enjoying the wind or the sun, and I had to avoid that place where she was. I shouldn't say it like this, but fortunately, I wasn't caught.
Yeah.
As time went by, my guilt gradually became
Should've-
dull, and I was
All you
living
do is
without
say
much
what you
thought
did,
of it.
dude. Like, it's not even that
When I was
bad.
in high school, she had dementia. And one other day, I was passing by the alley, and I met the old lady again. I greeted her unconsciously. I'm not sure if she had a clear mind or not, but anyway, she smiled at me and said like this, "Oh, hello. So you don't ride your bike anymore?" The cold sweat soaked my back in a brief moment. Without answering, I just ran away, and time passed.
All you had to do was say
The
that
old
you...
lady passed away after I became an adult, and there's still the guilt in the corner of my heart. Since I can't tell this story to anyone, I hope you guys understand me using the power of anonymity to write it here. I know, I'm just the most terrible trash in the world.
Okay, so that was the end of that video. I mean, like, the first one was creepy as hell, and it was pretty scary. The second one, not so much. It was more like a guilt kind of thing. So, I mean, like, it was still good, but it definitely wasn't scary or, like, too shocking or anything like that. All the dude had to really do was say that what he did, and it was an accident, and he would have been fine, but he just didn't want to say it. And I can understand that because you still feel like you're gonna get in trouble and stuff like that. So I can understand it, but had he just come clean, like they said, there was really not gonna be any punishment or anything. They just wanted to know who did it. Like, you could have called the cops and said it was an accident. I didn't even see her. She came out of nowhere. You could have just, like, said a million things and you didn't say anything. So it's like, I don't feel bad that you feel bad. But yeah, the first story was definitely really good. Second story, it wasn't really scary, in my opinion. It's like she always remembered it. She just never said anything because she's like, it was clearly an accident. It wasn't something he did on purpose. But yeah, the first story with the girl and her boyfriend, like, that was fucked up. Like, that dude needs to be put away and locked away and get the proper psychiatric help that he clearly needs. Like, he was cool with, like, scaring the crap out of her so she would be forced to live with him. That's not cool. That's toxic as fuck, and that's controlling. Like, get out of relationships. If you're in a relationship like that, get the fuck out. Like, get out. But yeah, that is the end of this video. But this has been another Bookish Nerdy Girl video. If you enjoyed it, please like and of course subscribe. And yeah, I will continue to post more horror type reactions. I'll do like short films and stuff too. Just literally like send me links to anything that is creepy as hell and you want me to react to. But yeah, again, this has been another Bookish Nerdy Girl vid. Peace out, guys.